What's up, everybody? Welcome to the SixpackLab. It is your host, Jonny Catanzano, here. Today, it is episode number 2, and we are here with a very special guest, Miss Crystal Mitchell. Thanks for coming
everybody.
in. Thanks for coming in. Miss Crystal is one of the new faces here.
Yeah.
You've been around for a couple weeks now, right?
Yeah, a couple weeks.
You've been doing some videos.
That's right.
And so Crystal is actually one of the new six-pack trainers. Certified trainer, certified nutritionist, well-versed in the field, not originally in fitness, but we're going to get into that here in just a little bit. First, we're going to go into latest in fitness news. We're going to talk about a couple articles that we found that I think you guys might find interesting. And Ray on the ones and twos, ladies and gentlemen.
That's me. Oh, 2? Oh, what was 2 again? Oh.
There it is. Couple technical difficulties. All right, we're going to get past that. But Ray on the ones and twos. Thanks for coming in, Ray. Ray's going to throw these links to the articles that we're going to discuss here up on the screen, but he's also going to throw the links into the actual description here in the video. So if you want to check them out yourself, you can go ahead and do so.
Sure.
All right, and first we're going to talk about a new way that researchers are finding a way to measure your blood pressure using a selfie camera. Interesting, right?
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of people might think, well, that's kind of dumb, whatever. But let's kind of talk about it. First, advantages if you live in the middle of nowhere. Get your blood pressure checked. We've been talking. There's been a lot of articles coming out about the importance of managing your blood pressure, especially over the age of 50. And the causes, obviously, it increases your just risk for heart disease and cardiovascular disease, but also we're finding mental diseases as well. So blood pressure is really important to monitor, and it's something where if you have this on your phone, there's almost no excuse. Because right now, a lot of people still go to Walgreens and CVS to sit in that machine and put their arm in it.
Absolutely.
And, how often can you do that? So I know, obviously, for the older generation, it might be a little bit more of a learning curve. But if you live out in the cornfields of Iowa or Nebraska and it's something where you're in intensive care with your doctor, I think it's something that can help out. So let's find out how they do it. What it does is it looks for your blood platelets, I think is what it is.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it looks for that, and it can measure it under the skin. Now,
through your face, right?
yeah, it's your hemoglobin. So,
okay.
The facial skin is somewhat translucent, so you can it doesn't maybe look like it, but you can kind of see through it. I mean, just all of our skin is. But anyways, now that's how it measures it, and it says by a 30-second video selfie, the app provides you with resting heart rate, stress level management, that sort of thing. Now they're having some issues with people with very fair skin and then very dark skin. So
like me,
like Ray. So we're probably not going to see it on the iPhone 11.
Oh,
no shot.
Not a chance on there.
womp, womp, womp.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we need. I think
There it is. Yeah. There we go. We're getting hand signals going for the. Yeah.
I think we're a little ways away from that type of technology, but
I can imagine it's probably maybe a little expensive too. Maybe.
Oh, I'm sure.
Well, I mean, the iPhone's now what, $1,200 if you buy it outright or whatever. So
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I imagine it will probably go up another $100 or $150 just for that.
Of course.
It would be cool though to go into, when you go into the health on your phone, it can track your steps by. It's got a gyrometer or whatever in there that it knows it detects movement essentially. So,
well, I think with this, I think this is like an app more with like all through software rather than hardware. So
Mhm.
I'm not sure the actual hardware will cost anymore.
Okay.
I just don't know how.
I'm glad we have a tech guy.
Yeah, right?
Thank you, Ray.
Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying. I'm just spitting stuff over here.
No. I mean, it makes sense from that perspective, but I think it's all software. And the thing
Software
is that,
related.
yeah, I just think that I don't know if we're fully there yet.
So let's think about this. Maybe they can throw this in a Tesla when you're driving.
Yeah, right.
I'm serious,
What
man.
else
Because
does
doesn't it?
Tesla
I
not
think
have?
right now it detects your heart rate or something through the steering wheel.
Oh, that's
No
awesome.
way.
Yeah, I swear to God. And yeah,
I didn't even know that.
I'm like 99.9 on the scale here, percent sure. And I think it also has to tie in with that self-driving feature.
Yeah.
As soon as you take your hands off, it's
Right.
going to go out of the mode. And I think that's a recent update because those videos started surfacing of people
Just going to sleep.
just sleeping and driving. Which,
Passing out.
in all honesty, that seems cool. It's like, wow, you just go by yourself. But if you think about it, how scary is that?
Oh,
To be asleep and then a car just driving you.
Yeah, I couldn't do
And
it.
you're just driving on the highway. You're
Just
so
chilling, man.
passed out.
But anyways, if they put that in a camera and it detects blood pressure, where it can like if you're in an accident or if you're
think
if
about
you're
that,
an older
yeah.
person and let's say you have a sudden onset heart attack or something,
Yeah.
it detects your blood pressure's going up, calls the hospital, signals where you're at. The car maybe either pulls over and an ambulance comes to you or something along those lines. I'm thinking way out here.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Nah, go for
But
it.
it's all possible.
But it's
That would be
yeah,
possible.
Yeah, I think it's
Absolutely,
possible. So
yeah.
I'm just kind of thinking outside. Where's Elon? Elon, just that's
Yeah, right?
throw me a little bit of love if you guys end up doing that
Get a
in the
percentage off
in
of
the
that.
in the P120D
Elon's
or
coming
the
on
next
the
one.
podcast next.
Yeah, right. I wish that'd be great.
And of course, we all need another reason to take selfies, right? At least this is like
Well, yeah.
beneficial.
Well, yeah. And
Not
then
just vanity.
and then here's maybe it's like you take the selfie and then maybe it displays your blood pressure and then you show people over time, hey, this is where I started before when I was 30, 40 pounds overweight. Here I am now. And naturally people's faces are probably going to be more and more smiley as they're losing weight and as they see their numbers going down.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah. It's like the new Apple Watches have the EKG on there.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
This is pretty cool.
We'll talk about the Apple Watch briefly. So it is Apple Watches, Fitbits, those sort of things. They're good for managing heart rate.
Right.
And they're fairly accurate for that. Calories burned, not even in the same ballpark.
No. So
It's way
far
off.
Yes.
It's way off.
Really off.
Some of them, even the Apple Watch, they said it's like 60 to 80% off.
Yeah.
Like somebody
Wow.
will, yeah, it's incredible. So somebody will go work out. Average person's going to go to the gym and lift weights without doing any cardio. 2, 3, maybe 400 calories burned.
Right.
And I mean, even leg day, you're like maybe 400 calories in the grand scheme of things. So that Apple Watch, I see people posting a lot of pictures on, and they're like, hour
It's
cardio
double.
down, and they're
Yeah.
telling them they're burning like 1,200 calories.
Right.
And part of you feels bad because it's so way off the mark, and that person may then go home and base a lot of their macro intake or their calorie intake on those numbers, and they're just going to spin their wheels and be like a maintenance or a surplus energy deficit or energy balance.
Oh, wow. So it's off
Yeah,
like.
so they eat twice as much because they think
Mhm.
they're
They
burning
think they
twice
burn
as
more.
much.
Mhm.
Yeah, especially if they
And
track
a lot, and
everything.
this brings me to the next one. And like my Fitness Pal and those apps and Fitbit will have an automatic feature that you can turn this off,
Right.
but when you get in there, it'll add in your calories burned
Yes,
from
I hate
exercise.
that. I hate when it has
So
that.
somebody's supposed to like 20, 30 pounds overweight and they're needing to eat in the range. Let's say it's a female. She needs to eat about 1,500 calories to be in a deficit. And then it's like, well, you burned an extra 650 doing cardio. But in reality, it's like
Says
200.
it's just like that too.
Yeah, you burned cardio 650. You killed it. Go eat more food. It's just like, oh no.
Yeah.
When you do that, you have to be in deficit. If you have stored body fat, you have to be in deficit in order
Right.
for the body to get into it.
Exactly.
So if you're going to eat more food just because you worked out more, the body is then preoccupied. Oh, well, I got to metabolize this new food you just ate
Right.
out. So you're not,
Mhm.
you're no
You're not
longer
even
going to get in.
hitting it,
You're not
right?
even getting in the stored body fat. So let's get back on
Another
topic.
subject,
though.
yeah.
Another subject for another day.
Yeah, that real quick question on that.
What you got, Ray?
What's a good deficit?
That's a great question.
Yeah, that is a good
And
question.
so
For someone dumb like me with the
great
fitness.
question. A statement that I like to say to a lot of my clients is realistically, you want to lose body fat eating as much calories as possible.
Right.
Metabolic capacity is something where you don't want to wring out the rag right in the beginning. A lot of people will do that. They'll finally start to understand energy balance and calorie deficit. And okay, if I control my calories, I'm going to lose body fat. Well, if I just cut my calories in a quarter,
Yeah.
maybe this will go a lot faster. So
No.
then all of a sudden you have a guy that's eating like 1,200 calories
Yeah,
because he
not
wants to
good.
lose weight fast. What's going to happen in 3 or 4 months when the body starts to adapt to what you're eating to that 1,200 calories? Your metabolic capacity is shot. You can't just keep eating less. You can't go down. Okay, well now I need a bigger deficit. I hit a plateau. I'm going to eat 500 calories now. That's what you want to prevent, and a lot of people don't think long term. So that's why the statement is you always want to, and also for muscle retention purposes,
Right.
when you lose fat, you're going to lose lean body mass. There's a percentage range. It's like anywhere from 5 up to 20. If you crash diet or severely undereat, you're going to lose a lot of lean body mass. You're going to be up towards that 20%. So if you lose 10 pounds, 20% of that is going to be muscle.
Yeah. Which you don't want to lose.
You don't want to lose. So Now, to answer your question, let's say somebody's got a considerable amount of body fat to lose. You want to be in a deficit of about 250 to 500, and here's why. Okay. If you do, if somebody burns 2,500 a day, they want to eat 2,000 a day. That puts them at 500 deficit calories a day, and that's not too aggressive.
Both male and female. That works for the same.
Yeah, it can, and there's no set standard, and there's a lot of trial and error involved with this. All the calculations will get you in the ballpark of where you need to be in deficit, but it's going to take a little bit of trial and error. Gotcha. So there's so many factors go into it, like what's your job, how busy are you, are you doing labor, are you sitting at a desk, are you doing cardio, are you lifting weights? So there's so many factors that go into it, but let's just say 250 to 500, but let's say if it's a male, he's got a considerable amount of body fat to lose. 500 a day, that'll net 3,500 in a week, 7 days in a week. A 3,500 calorie deficit in a week will yield roughly 1 pound of fat loss in a perfect scenario. If you're getting good sleep, if you're eating enough food, if you're eating vegetables, if you're drinking water,
the right foods, yes,
if the right foods, if you're taking care of the body, on average, that'll be about a pound of fat a week. Fat loss is not linear.
Yeah, and it goes a lot slower than people think.
Some weeks you might go up, some weeks it might go down. You want to look at a sample of over like a 2 or 3 week period and make sure that you're having anywhere from about a half a pound to a pound a week of fat loss. Right. If you're not, go back to the drawing board. Try again. Make sure also you're accurately reporting your calories. I would say 70% of people are underreporting calories, even though I'm tracking it, I'm eating it. I swear everything.
Creamer in the coffee, everything.
Handful of almonds at night. Or they'll say, well, it was 1 ounce, but it was like a giant handful.
Right,
And that's
3 ounces.
That's the difference between 1 and like 400 calories.
Right.
Times 7 days.
Yeah.
And then we go back to that 3,500 deficit calorie number that just closes that gap. Right. So that's why a lot of people, like 1 week maybe they'll lose a pound, but the next week they lose almost nothing.
Right. And sometimes they lose water weight.
That's what I was going to say. Water weight.
Fat loss.
You're not going to lose much adipose tissue in a 24-hour period. It's just a little bit of a slower process than that. Right. So when people wake up and say, I'm a pound lighter, it's like, okay, that's great.
Yeah.
You got results. Let's just be realistic and let's keep on it and let's see what happens in 1 week and see where we're at.
And always weigh yourself usually in the morning too, because before you've had anything.
Empty stomach, gallon of water is 8 pounds.
Accurate, so it's better to weigh yourself in
first thing in the morning.
First thing in the morning, yes.
Once a week. Once a week. If you start weighing yourself too frequently, and I have to get on a lot of my clients for this, it's on the top of your mind all the time. And the scale number in all reality is only like a small blip on the radar. It only has so much importance. It's a reference point. You need it. You need to make sure you're progressing, but you really shouldn't stress that much about the number. So I have to tell my clients will text me, hey man, I'm down another pound like every other day. And I love the enthusiasm and I'm happy, but I have to say, okay, that's awesome. Let's cut it back to once a week. Don't think about it. Just stay on target. And then that way you'll see that progress clear as day on paper, and you're not going to have it on top of your mind stressing about it, because you're going to have a day, one day after you hit that new low, a day later, you're going to do everything perfect. You're going to be 3 pounds heavier.
Right.
So
guaranteed.
What's a better way to accurately measure yourself?
I tell my clients to go off how they feel, how their clothes fit.
Measure yourself for what?
In terms of like maybe fat loss, if you're trying, or muscle gain, whatever you're trying to do.
The more data points, the better. Clothes fitting is a non-scale victory is what we like to call that.
Yes.
Your people complimenting you, another non-scale victory. Mm-hmm. You having to go buy new clothes, another non-scale victory. You sit in your car a little bit differently, non-scale. But you go up the top of the steps and you don't get out of breath, non-scale victory. Yes. So you want to take all those data points. Most important things you can do is pictures. Consistent pictures, so in the same lighting, the same time of day,
same clothes,
pick one outfit you want to use. So progress pictures, your weight, just a reference point, measurements, and those measurements are important.
Those BMI machines, I know how you feel about
the in-body scans.
Yeah,
those are good for reference points. So Ray's talking about is called an in-body scan, where a lot of like Lifetime Fitness and a lot of the nicer gyms now, you go and you stand on the scale and you grab these handles, and it's electrical impedance. Right. Mm-hmm. Those are there's a lot of variance in those, and those can also be inaccurate. Those can go be off as far as 5 to 10%. Mm-hmm. For example, I've been on one, and it told me I was like 3 or 4% body fat, and I know, so I was like, yeah, okay. And I had a Dexa scan a few weeks later, and I was about 5.5, and I was super lean. I mean, super duper lean. Yeah. So a lot of people that walk around and say, yeah, I'm 2%, 3% body fat, to go get a Dexa scan. So if you don't know what a Dexa scan is, that's where your body actually lays and the X-ray scan you, and it's about as accurate as you can get versus a hydrostatic pod where it uses in water, and it's those are even less accessible. But the Dexa scan was originally intended to measure bone density. So people, osteoporosis and that sort of thing, they're usually in hospitals and universities, but most major markets have them now. You can pay $75. Like University of Texas here has one in their fitness institute, which is super cool. So I got to go in there and I was in the bottom of the stadium for $75, and I got to see, and she works for the team, and there's athletes around. I was like, I'm back. I'm back. So you get the scan, and it tells you your lean body mass, tells you your body fat, and it shows you on a chart where you're storing the majority of it. So for men, it's oftentimes midsection, lower back. Women, it's oftentimes arms and legs. Right. So you do that every few months or every few weeks. Mm-hmm. You also, even with that, you still have to do it. You want to do it under the same conditions. So you usually fast for 10 hours before. If you go do it at 8 a.m. in the morning, do it at 8 a.m. in the morning the next time. Don't go do the second one at the end of the day. It'll give you a little bit of misreading. Right. So use those reference points as the data. Now, Dexa scan's gonna be the most accurate. The in-body scan you can use, but if it tells you you're 3% body fat, just be aware it might not be accurate. Here's the thing: if you use it and under the same conditions, and 1 week you go in you're 10% body fat, and then 3 or 4 weeks later you see you're 9, and you did it under the same conditions, then you're progressing. You might not be exactly 9 or 10% body fat, but it's showing you the progression, and that's ultimately what realistically matters.
From that machine.
From that machine.
Yeah.
From the in-body scan.
Exactly.
It's remember those old ones you used to hold out in front of you as a little thing, you hold it? They're about as inaccurate as that.
Oh, wow.
It just measures, it's the electrical impedance it measures through your hands, but this one just measures through hands and feet.
Right. Yeah.
So water consumption, food consumption can give a lot of variance.
Okay. Cool.
So
awesome.
Move on. Let's hit the next article real quick. We went off a little bit on that one, but that's okay. We learned a little bit.
He was dropping knowledge. No worries.
Good questions, Ray. All right. Eating more plant-based foods is a new study. This one is going to be definitely a point towards the vegan camp. And this diets higher in plant-based foods and lower in animal foods were linked to a lower risk of cardiovascular disease and death.
Wow.
Death. In a new study. So what it was between 1987 and 2016, they took a panel of over 10,000 middle-aged U.S. adults, and they monitored them. And what they did is they categorized what they ate. So plant-based foods versus animal-based foods, so on and so forth. And overall, 16% lower risk of having cardiovascular disease, such as heart attack, stroke, heart failure, and other conditions. 32% lower risk of dying from cardiovascular disease, and a 25% lower risk of dying from any cause compared to those who ate the least amount of plant-based foods. Our findings underscore the importance of focusing on your diet. There might be some variability in terms of individual foods, but to reduce cardiovascular disease risk, people should eat more vegetables, nuts, whole grains, fruit, legumes, and fewer animal-based foods. Now, let's chat a little bit. So, to me, and I support veganism. My dad was a pescatarian for years, only ate fish because for the way the animals are treated in the process. So, and I respect it. And, vegans and vegetarians, I respect it too. And that's a personal decision. And I can totally understand why. But that doesn't mean it's the only way.
Right.
And it doesn't, it's not, our bodies were not designed, we're not gorillas. We're not, people make that correlation, well, how strong are gorillas and they only eat plants. Well, we're not gorillas.
I wasn't even aware of that. That's
You've never heard that one? I've heard that one many, many, many times. So there's a time and a place for animal products. And now if somebody wants to be vegan or makes that decision, absolutely, that's totally cool. But you don't have to put it on everybody, or don't knock on us because of the choices we make. Like me personally, I just personally like to make sure that the animals I'm consuming were killed in a humane fashion. Right. So I pay a little bit more for the cage-free and the organic free roaming and the wild caught and that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And that personally makes me feel better, but I'm not going to not consume meat. I mean, do you see me?
Same here.
So what's your thoughts?
I could not give up meat, but you're right. I do respect everybody's choice.
Correct.
So if they are vegan, I have a lot of clients that are vegans or
Yeah,
pescatarian.
I've got some.
So you just, you roll with the flow.
Roll with the flow. And
yeah.
and you can vegans can build muscle. Plenty
Right,
I know vegan bodybuilders.
There's still protein. They get it in
There's
other
still, you
sources.
can get plant-based protein.
But as long as they have that protein, that's all.
I think the thing that should be taken from this is that this is kind of a point towards, you should be consuming vegetables.
Absolutely.
A large portion of your overall consumption should be vegetables, but I don't think it should necessarily mean you can't eat meat.
Right.
Here's the other thing is, what kind of meat were they eating?
That's huge.
Okay, was it hot dogs from Walmart? Were
That's
they
not even meat.
boiled hot dogs?
Are you even meat, bro?
Spam,
Anything
corn
canned.
hash, highly processed stuff. If that's the animal meats they were eating, which between 87 and 2016, that's a huge range.
Right.
And I mean, think about the differences of what we eat now as far as the quality of meat versus 2009 and then 1999. It's a huge difference.
Oh, big difference.
Big difference. So something to consider, but obviously a massive point towards the veggie camp. I love veggies. I eat veggies every single day. I love them all. So pretty cool article, right?
Yeah,
you can definitely
it's
find
interesting.
both the articles Ray is going to throw up onto the description here on YouTube, so you guys can check those out. All right, next section, we're going to go gym fails to fixes.
Oh, yes.
This is one of my favorite parts. I do enjoy this.
And then after this, we'll learn about Crystal.
And then we're going to talk about the main feature, Miss Crystal. So, all right, Crystal, now before we watch this video, do you have the volume up?
Yeah.
I want to make sure there's volume on this one.
Jim failed doctor.
Yeah, let's see if I can get this.
Yeah, shout out to Jim Phil Doctor for allowing us to use your clip, dog.
We'll give him credit. We'll give him
Yeah, for
credit.
sure. For sure.
Let's see if we can.
Probably not your clip. You just put an icon on it. So
Yeah.
we got volume?
Let's see if you can hear it.
Okay.
Hey yo, watch this. The world's strongest man, world record box jump, world record vertical leap. Watch this.
He's claiming it. He's calling it Babe Ruth in it. World record is what he's calling.
It doesn't
All right.
look like it's very stable. Oh boy. All right. Oh man. I almost had it.
Not even close.
Nice. Even Kawhi thought that was funny.
Intro. The intro is definitely
Yes. Watch this.
that is by far the best part. He's got aerobic
I mean, he
boxes
literally
stacked
jumps
on top of a road
into
box. He's serious.
Very.
All right. All right.
Alpha.
Ray, you can go ahead and
fail.
cut the volume on that. We're gonna help him now. We're gonna help fix the world record box jumper. So, Miss Crystal, what are maybe a couple of things that he could do differently?
For one, it needs to be a lot more stable.
Okay.
And he needs to have a more realistic expectation
So
there
he
with how high that is.
So let me clarify. So he shouldn't be using the plastic on plastic aerobic boxes that you stack up.
Absolutely not.
Okay. All right. And this looks like a padded Rogue box that it's on. It's not even a
Right.
solid
Yes.
Rogue box.
I'm
Okay.
not
So
even
first tip
sure.
is adjust your execution of where you're going to be performing the
Right.
box jump.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
What's what's
we got technical difficulties. I'll be right there. What's
Yeah. So he definitely was trying to jump too high on that one for sure.
so maybe check the ego at the coat check at the door.
The ego.
Okay.
Yes.
So, all right. So he needs to have a more stable surface
Right.
and maybe a more realistic expectation.
Yes.
I've got a couple questions.
Okay.
I've got it for him, and maybe you'll help answer them. Is what was he hitting before this one? How high was he jumping before? Like, was he going in small increments, or did he like jump on a step and then like, dude, I got this, and then just went for like a 30-incher?
Right. Or has he done it before? That's
Yes.
what I want to know.
Okay.
Because that would be very impressive.
My
He's a
second
pretty big
question
guy.
is, or why are we calling it? Why are we Babe Ruth in it?
so this is
Because that's nowhere fucking near a world record box jump to be 100.
I think he's a troll. He's got to be a troll, man.
Yeah, I was wondering the same now that we're thinking about it. But like, the first time I watched it, he looks pretty serious.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, just the way like when he set up for it, like let's play it one more time. Let's go back. Let's go back for the world record
Just
one more
for
time.
shits and giggles.
Let's just hear it one more time. All right, let's hear. Where's my?
I mean, this is a man of confidence. He's not
He's got
fucking around.
alpha
I'm
on
telling
his
you, I don't
shirt. He's ready.
dude, he for sure tried to get up
Yes,
there,
there's
100%.
No way his vertical
He tried to
is
get his
high
knees
enough
up, and
to-
they crashed right into the
right.
side of it. So, whoever you are, wherever you're at, Crystal says you just need a more stable surface. Maybe start with a little bit lower of a box.
Right. Work your way up.
Work your way up. I think that you should maybe refrain from calling it a world record until maybe we get Guinness out there. Maybe we'll get him out there.
Right.
We'll complete it first. Show us the video, and then we'll get Guinness out there. We've had Guinness in here before. And we'll get him out there. And I think the
Broke the record. Did someone break the record?
realistic expectation a little better. Safety first.
Yeah, for real.
Safety first. That was awesome. All right, we're moving in here. Let's go ahead and talk with Miss Crystal. We're going to learn a little bit about SixPack's newest trainer. Crystal, where are you from?
I am from Austin, one of the rare Austinites left.
Born and raised?
Here. Born and raised, yes, all over Austin. Kind of started south, moved up north, and then came back south again.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about your background. Did you go to school anywhere? Did you?
Yes, high school, college.
College. We can start with college. High school.
I went to Texas State. So
Bobcats.
Yes, go
okay.
Bobcats.
Down there in San Marcos.
Yes.
Okay, I've been down there. It's a little bit of a party school.
It definitely is. I had fun for sure.
I've been down there.
Yeah,
When I first
I
moved
think
to
a lot of people
Austin,
have,
I
yeah.
ended up. People were like, "Yeah, we're going to the square.
Yeah.
We're going to the square."
It's
I was like,
mini downtown
"What's
Austin.
the square?
Right.
What is this?" So I went. It's fun.
Yeah,
it was a good
it closed
school.
a
That's
little
a big
earlier.
school. There's a lot of students that go
What is
there.
that, like an hour south of Austin?
And it's like 35
Yeah,
minutes.
it's not
It's-
even.
Oh,
it's,
okay.
it's like
Pretty
halfway
close.
to San Antonio or so.
Right.
Almost.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's right before New Braunfels. I wanna
Right.
say. Or is New Braunfels right before?
Yes. No, it's before.
It's like
New
right.
Braunfels.
Okay.
So is it a D1 big school or what?
It is now.
Now it
in
is.
Football.
When I
yeah.
was there, absolutely.
I want to say they
not,
have
but
like 26,000 students or 25,000 or maybe even
it's
more.
getting bigger.
Don't quote
Okay.
me. Don't
It's
quote
getting
me.
a lot more prestigious too. They're not as much of a party school, but
Yeah.
still fun.
Okay. All right. So you went to Texas State. What'd you study?
I studied accounting, actually. Yes, I know.
Accounting.
Accounting. You know, you go see a counselor, you have no direction.
We definitely.
I know, right? Give me that for sure.
Ooh.
Yeah, I
Nah, I'm
went
just
in-
kidding. To all the
yeah.
accounts out there, I'm not hating.
Yeah.
I just, man, it's so numbers. Did you
Right.
when you went into college? Were you good at math in high school? And you're like, this, or did your dad
No,
or
that's
mom
the
were they
thing.
accountants
So
or?
my aunt was an accountant.
Okay.
But
Did you
going
like
in-
shadow her and like, man, that looks fun?
No, absolutely not. I probably
okay.
should have because I would have
Probably
gone in
would've
a
been a good
different direction.
In hindsight,
Yes, exactly. I just went to a counselor. She asked me what my favorite subjects were, math
Okay.
and science. From that question, she was, okay, well, engineering or accounting? We don't have engineering, so why don't you try accounting? And that's just kind of where I fell
engineering
into
or
it.
accounting.
Yeah, exactly. And so
Okay.
We'll just make it my whole life based off of, oh, they don't have
Yes,
engineering.
yeah.
All right, let's do it.
I was a good student, so I just, made good grades, but never really enjoyed it like I
Magna
should
cum
have.
laude, summa cum laude. Did you graduate with honors or
Oh,
something?
no, I don't, buff me up too much there. No, not, but I did have a very high GPA.
I'm
killing me here.
I'm just kidding. All right, so you graduated with a degree in accounting,
Right.
and then you became a CPA.
I did not. So I did figure it out before that. I went to get my master's. I got my master's in business.
MBA.
Because I kind of
Texas
knew. Yes, through Texas State.
Nice.
I knew.
Impressive.
Yeah, see? All right. There we go.
That's impressive. I
Thanks,
had thoughts
Greg.
of doing that sometime, but then I thought of it again about it. I was like, no, I'm not going to
You're
do it.
like, LOL, JK.
No,
Yeah.
LOJK.
Yeah. So, well, I knew I needed to get, instead of just getting master's in being an accountancy, I got it in business because at
It's a little
that
bit more
point, broad. Yes. I knew I was kind of maybe in the wrong profession.
That's a small move. That's a small move right there, Miss Crystal.
So that's
Yeah.
kind of where I went.
So how
from
long
there.
did you do numbers for?
Oh man, too long, but I was an auditor of all things for 5 years. I know.
Oh.
Not IRS.
Whoa.
Not IRS, but
You busting us?
no, we were
But, like, you would
more
audit
like,
businesses
yes,
or
like nonprofit
personal?
governmental agencies.
Oh,
So
really?
they knew we were coming. They hired us. They
aha.
had to
Okay.
have it because you have government funds.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Or if
Okay.
you're trying to get like big loans or big
Right,
funding or something, you have to
exactly.
get
So school
adjusted
districts-
analytics or something it's called, and you got to get your
Yes.
financials analyzed. Yeah, I
Yes.
know.
So
I know.
did that. Should have got on the tax side.
Yeah.
Another hindsight. But
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And then
so-
and then
Is that all Excel spreadsheets and stuff?
oh, so many. So many
dude,
Excel
Microsoft
spreadsheets
Excel.
and other programs.
RIP Excel. I don't touch it anymore. When I
Yes.
was getting into training for years, when I would create
Yeah.
workout programs, it was
Yeah.
in Excel, and it was
Oh, that's
Right.
painful.
trash.
Yeah.
No offense to Microsoft,
Right.
but
it's just not meant for that.
it is a
right.
great program if you
Right.
understand how to use it and the macros and the formulas and the
Right,
charts. And for
right.
business, you have
Oh,
to
it's
use
great.
it.
No, it's great.
But it's not fun.
No one's
Fun
gonna-
level
Very
zero.
tedious.
Very
work.
tedious is a good
Very
word for
tedious,
that. So while you were doing numbers and stuff, you got into fitness. How'd you get into
I
fitness?
did. Well, so that was always my passion. I
Okay.
just didn't know at that time.
Since
when
like
I
a
got
young
to
age?
school. Right. Yes. My
Okay.
dad was a power lifter. My mom was a gymnast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
Oh, wow.
they had a whole weight set in their bedroom, like growing up. So I was always around it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
That's dope.
I
So
worked out. I
fitness
was-
through osmosis.
Right,
All right.
exactly. So I played sports. I was just always enjoyed lifting and being in the gym, and so
You played sports in high school and
I
growing
did.
up? Okay.
Yes.
What sports?
Like everything. I
Everything.
did basketball.
What were you the
soccer,
best at?
volleyball.
Would you kill it?
Basketball and soccer.
Oh,
Okay,
wow,
you
I'm
were-
a basketball
You were
player.
posting
too.
up.
look at
You were posting
you.
up in the
I
paint.
hoop it up, right?
I know we got
What
you.
position in basketball?
I was a wing. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Nice.
So wing
All
and
right.
post because I was tall.
Okay.
So
Were you dunking on fools?
uh,
Were you posterizing guys? Were you straight up posterizing guys?
absolutely.
Okay, I like it. I dig it. So athletic. So you have an athletic background stemming back to
Right.
high school,
Yes.
and your parents were very into fitness, health, and fitness.
Yes.
So it just kind of rubbed off on you, and
Right.
you saw it, and then
Exactly.
you
I
started
was-
working out, and then
Yeah.
helped maybe some of your friends, and then
I
got into
did.
training.
So I was in accounting. You had that feeling where you're meant for something else.
Yeah.
Just you're in the wrong profession.
Yeah.
I was miserable.
You could say that.
Yes,
Big time.
miserable as an accountant. Enjoyed training. My friends would ask me to come train them, like
Yeah.
work out with them.
Right.
Would you please work out with me?
Mm-hmm.
That led to them telling their friends, and then I worked with family, and so I started training on the side.
For some trainers, that's kind of how it starts. I mean,
yeah, it was
realistically, it's
just-
just kind of it's
Right.
word of mouth, and people
Right,
come to you because you
exactly.
clearly know what you're doing,
Yeah,
and
it was a lot of
they
fun.
trust in
so-
you, and then you get people results.
Yes,
More people are gonna be like, "Hey, I want it.
Yeah,
I
word
wanna
of mouth
know."
for sure. So did that on the side, realized that I was spending more time doing something I did not like, less time with the stuff I was really passionate about. So I decided one day, just to swap it.
How long was the transition?
Like how long did it take me to transition into it?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, I mean, well,
yeah.
how long were you doing fitness kind of on the side
I was
until?
doing fitness on the side for probably almost 2 years,
And
that's
then it was
when I
about 2
knew.
years, then you
Yeah,
made the decision to
exactly.
transfer
I had
out
like an
full-time.
epiphany. Like I was sitting on a
No
Sunday
more
night.
numbers.
Yeah,
Only
Sunday
dumbbells and
night.
barbells.
Yeah.
Okay, I can dig it.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
And you got into then personal training or group training or both?
So I actually reached out to a friend of mine who was working at Gold's,
Uh-huh.
and he was a sales guy, and
Okay.
he told me that I could come over to Gold's
Okay.
and get my cert as I was training, and so I took.
Mm-hmm. What kind of
that
cert you got?
opportunity. I got my personal training cert and fitness nutrition specialist from NASM. So yeah, NASM buddies. I know, I see that.
Twins, Basil, twins. Ray's too young to remember that one.
Basil.
Wait,
It's
what's
Austin Powers.
Yes.
Oh.
Wait, you
It's
don't.
Austin Powers Vaja. I love gold.
That's like the gold
All the
member.
people younger than like 27, 20 are going to be
Oh,
like,
man,
this guy
Austin
is an
Powers was
idiot.
huge.
Yeah, Austin Powers.
I mean, Mike Myers is a genius. The guy would play 4 or
Yes.
5 parts perfectly.
Right.
Just the most ridiculous characters. No, it's slapstick silly. Don't get me wrong, but awesome. I mean,
Yes.
hilarious.
Groovy baby.
Groovy baby. Don't make you horny, baby. Yay. And then he had those
Cringy.
teeth. Oh my God.
Yes.
Young kids
This
out
was the
there.
first movie.
This
they came out in the 90s, right?
it was
yes.
the late 90s. I
Yeah,
think
late
there was
90s.
Austin Powers, then there was The Spy Who Shagged Me, and then there
Right.
was Goldmember.
Right.
And all three of them, honestly, if you haven't seen them, go back and watch them.
Yes.
They are
Yeah.
They're
very,
all
very funny.
Great movies.
I think I've watched them in the background, but never really like. sat and watched.
Come on, Ray, man. Killing me, Smalls.
I know, man. It's born in '94, so it's
Probably
hard.
doesn't know that movie either.
I know. We'll give him a
Kill me,
pass on that
Smalls.
one.
Yeah, I don't
So-
know that one either.
So, training now. How long you been in training on your
So
own?
I've been training
full time?
for about 7 to 8 years now.
Full time?
So full time.
Awesome.
Yes.
Very
yes.
nice. And you're doing in person and group, or
Yes. Well, so I do group
Or
training.
one-on-one in group, or-
One-on-one.
okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
very nice. All right. Now, what kind of hobbies do you have outside of fitness?
Outside of fitness, well, I play soccer still.
Okay.
Obviously, I love lifting, anything outdoors, around water,
Okay.
hiking, paddleboarding, pretty much everything, anything and everything outdoors.
Okay. Was maybe some of the hobbies or the fact that you're active one of the deciding factors in the transition to go from not fitness full time to fitness full time?
Probably, yes.
Yeah.
I'm definitely much
Would you
more
say
of an
the-
outdoor person.
It's kind of rewarding helping people. Maybe that was a factor.
That is probably one of the biggest.
What's probably your
achievements as a
biggest
trainer.
achievement in fitness? Most
let's
rewarding,
see.
either for the client or for making yourself feel good. We're gonna talk about her.
Yeah.
We want to know what makes her feel good.
Yeah, well, obviously, I think for most trainers, it is the joy you can bring to a client, to other people, how much you can help them.
Mm-hmm.
I love getting texts from people saying that they have more energy and they haven't felt this good in forever,
best.
and just yes.
The
I
best.
even had one of my first clients ever at Gold's was this elderly man,
Uh-huh.
and he came in. And he had trainers before, but none of them could help him. All he wanted to do was just get up out of a chair, something we all take for granted, just being
You'd be
able
surprised
to
what
move.
you take for granted as you age.
And so I worked with him for a couple weeks, and by the end of that 2 weeks, just the joy on his face when he got up out of a chair without having to push off, without having anyone to help him up. I mean, you can't buy that. You really can't.
You can't. It is, and you hate to talk about it and feel selfish, but that's
Yeah.
kind of part of the gig, and that's why a lot of trainers do what they do. We might not
Right.
talk about it a lot because it should be about the client and not about the trainer and about their
Right.
successes, and that we just told them what to do and they did the work.
Right.
That's the thing.
Right.
But it is nice to talk about other people's success and how they feel.
Yeah.
I've got a couple client up in Alaska, David and Shannon. Hopefully they'll see this. Big shout out to Dave and Shannon. And I'm sure they'll be okay with me kind of lightly talking about this. But David has MS, and Shannon's had some surgery on her back previously, and they're in the ripe young ages of 50 years young in that ballpark. And they literally every time we talk, they just tell me how they are literally feeling the best they've felt in years.
That's awesome.
In years, and he's dead serious about this. And he says, so one thing with MS is you get a lot of inflammation. And he said before he was working with me, and I set him up with the correct nutrition and the correct diet, and we've had some trial and error.
Of course.
It's not been an easy path, but he's just said he just wouldn't be able to do any sort of physical activity without having a tremendous amount of inflammation post-exercise. And that, I think, was just the disease somewhat just attacking the body. So I haven't cured his condition, but we have him feeling the best he's ever felt on a day-to-day basis, and we have him exercising about 5 or 6 times a week in moderation. We've had some times where we've gone down to 3 times a week if he's busy with work and other things. But same thing with Shannon. I mean, she said she had this pain in her shoulder she's been dealing with forever. Yeah. And just through corrective exercise, it's going away. And she's like, John, I just can't believe it. And it's just little things, and I'm not magic. And a lot of people can do what I do. I'm not magic. But it's just when they tell you that and you can hear it in their voice how happy they are.
It makes you feel so good.
Makes you feel pretty
Just
good.
improving the quality of life.
Quality of life is huge.
Yes.
Longevity, lifestyle. We're not here. SixpackLab, SixPackAbs. We're not here to follow diet plans.
Right.
We're not here to do a 12-week challenge. We're not here to do a 6-week workout program.
Right.
We're here to change lives and make sure you just adjust the small habits
Make it a lifestyle.
needed in order to do that. So now back to you, Miss Crystal. So you've been in fitness 7 years now.
Yeah.
Okay. What motivates you? You sound like a super motivated person, and some people Mondays, maybe Sundays, they get the Sunday scaries. It's a lot to get motivated. So maybe you can help them out.
Yeah, of course. Well, I think what motivates me the most, besides just what you get out of the aesthetics of working out, and it's more so how I feel. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel good with that, knowing that I'm healthier, and honestly, I feel worse when I don't work out.
Right.
But just so to like think what motivates me maybe the most is to be an inspiration to other people. Like maybe my story
lead by
can
example.
help one person, you know, that's
You talk the
feeling
talk
way
and you
I
walk
am.
the walk.
Right. Yeah.
You get up at 6 and you work out sometimes. You
Exactly.
work out at 7:30 after
Right,
you've had a long
whenever
day
you
and
have
you
the
don't
chance
want to
to.
work out either,
Yes,
but you still get
yes.
it done. That's lead by example is it's a great quality to have. I think a lot of trainers could maybe learn like that, especially in the commercial gym setting. I see a lot of trainers that I'm just like, bro, who's training you?
Practicing what you
And
preach.
I'm not trying to be mean. It's just like,
Right.
man, if you practice what you preach, if
Yes.
you lead by example, if you're going
Right.
to walk the walk, you got to talk the
Yeah.
talk. So
Yeah.
it goes a
No,
long way.
absolutely.
What is there any thing in life you seem super positive? You got a lot of good stuff going for you. Is there anything in life you struggle with?
Oh, well, I guess if we're gonna be open and honest,
This is a SixpackLab here,
That's what
Crystal.
we do.
I've actually had some struggles post competition, and I'm sure a lot of people in the
Okay, so you've
bodybuilding
done
industry
yes.
might have had the
so
same.
you've competed in bikini,
Right.
Okay, so bikini.
Right.
How many
Bikini.
competitions have you had?
2 so far.
Okay,
yeah.
so what's the struggle? Let me know.
I think a lot of girls getting into it's great. I would never tell someone not to do it. I learned so much, but people are not aware of the mental, emotional struggles after, and then hormonal imbalances, gut issues. I've been dealing with a lot since then. Went through a period of time where it was hard to even keep my weight down, doing everything that I knew how to do, you know, working out, eating healthy. None of it mattered. Until I got my gut right. So, yeah, I guess that would be one of my personal struggles that
There's definitely a fine line, and there's a lot of competing.
Right.
Let's just call it competing,
Yes.
because with social media, it's become wildly more popular than it was in the 2000s, and of course compared to the 90s and
Right.
before that.
Yeah.
We've got new divisions. We've got bikini. We've got women's physique. We've got classic physique. We've got men's physique. We've got social media that's people with tens of millions of followers that, yeah, this is how I look, follow me, and that sort of thing. So it's definitely created a dynamic where a lot of people want to compete.
Yes.
I want to compete. I want to do a show. And
Right.
that's awesome. I support it. I
Right.
do. Local shows, NPC shows, the natural shows, all those divisions, the smaller, all of them. I think it's great, and I think it's a cool experience for a lot of people. But I also think there's a very fine line between just like jumping in the show and kind of being maybe reckless about it and not
Right.
really fully understanding what goes into that
Right.
lifestyle.
Oh,
Because it is.
absolutely.
If you
It's
want
a
to,
lot.
if you want to go do a show, just say, hey, yeah, I lost a bunch of weight and did a show and I got on stage. Awesome. But if you
Right.
want to go do a show and like you think you want to do well and you want to win and this thing, it's involved.
Yes, and it's extreme. Your
It's
body
very
goes
extreme.
through a lot of
It's-
extremes.
In all honesty, it's not exactly healthy.
Healthy, right?
You can look great, but it's not
Right.
exactly healthy, quote unquote. And I
Right.
know even bikini girls take it to extremes.
Oh,
and I'm not
yeah.
saying that you did or anything, but you
Right.
just let's go back to the longevity thing. You got to
Yeah.
be thinking about that. What's
Right.
it worth getting a little trophy or doing this or that or
Right.
getting 3rd or 4th place in a show if you're gonna take years off your life or
Right.
affect a lot of your day-to-day things.
Yeah.
There's definitely a smart way to go about it, and if it's something that you're really passionate about and you're good at, that's different.
Right. You
I
just
think
have to
that's
have
different.
the knowledge. Make sure
You have to have the knowledge or somebody
right.
coaching
a
you.
coach that knows.
I can't
Yes.
tell you how many people I know that they're like, yeah, I'm just doing it on my own. Yeah, I looked up some
Yeah.
stuff on the internet. And it's,
Oh man,
that's
yeah.
good.
Right.
I know a lot of people that have done well doing that,
Right.
but they're also a little bit more genetically gifted.
Right.
Or they've already have a lot of field experience already working out.
Right.
People that just randomly decide out of the blue, I think I'm going to do a show. And then they get on like bodybuilding.com and look up a few articles, and it's just
So much more that goes into it. And I actually had a great coach. It's just everybody's body's different.
Everybody's
Everyone
body's
goes
different.
through different things. And I was definitely one of those people after that wanted to fix it myself.
the
without
female
even
hormonal system is
telling.
very
Oh,
sensitive.
man.
It's very
Let me tell
sensitive.
you.
And if not done right, you can definitely have the
Yes.
post-show rebound and
Right,
some issues
right.
and that sort of thing. But it's
Yeah, I luckily caught it in time.
That's good.
Got some doctors'
any
help.
plans to continue to compete?
Yes, I just want to make sure my
doing-
body is
yep.
completely healthy.
And that's the
from
thing
blood
is if
work
you
and all.
compete once a
Right.
year, maybe twice a year, that's healthier.
Right.
If you're doing 5 or 6 shows a year, which I've done before, and I
Yeah,
was
it's
stupid
hard.
for doing it
Yeah.
because your body's not going to peak that many times in a
No.
year. Just can't do it. It's
Right.
hard on the
That's
body.
what I think what happened to me. I did
It is.
two shows kind of back to back and didn't
Without
give
it,
my
yeah.
body enough time to rest.
Yeah, it's a little bit
Yeah,
tough.
But you get, I mean, it's addicting. Like you want to you start
It
prep
is.
again
It
and do
is.
another show.
It is fun.
And
I try to give both sides of the perspective because
Right.
you know I've kind of been around the industry for a long time, but it is fun, and I do love competing, me personally.
yeah,
So
no,
that's-
it's a
can't
lot
wait
of
to
fun.
can't wait to see how you do next time.
Yeah.
You single, married? I'm not
That's
asking
a tough
for me.
question
I'm-
because I'm neither. Okay, so
Okay.
I'm not married, but I'm
engaged.
Let's just say
so
I'm
just-
happily taken. Let's leave
these
it at
people are
that.
going to want to know. Okay,
Yeah.
people want to know. I'm just
Okay. Well, I do have friends.
So you're currently taken.
Yes.
Sorry, boys.
Yes,
Sorry, boys.
Oh yeah, there we go.
All right. Now, if they can't date you,
Right.
maybe we'll get some intel out of her. What do you
Okay.
think, Ray
All
Ray?
right. Sure.
Okay.
We're gonna get some.
So for the guys out there, I like it. For the guys out there, you're a what I guess would maybe be called considered a fitness girl or a fit
Okay.
girl or whatever.
Right.
Fitspiration.
Yeah. Inspiration.
I heard that
Even
one.
Kawhi
Hashtag
thought that was
Fitspiration.
funny.
Hashtag blessed. Kawhi. What would it take for average guy to date a girl like you?
So for one, I have to have someone with similar interests. So they have to like working out. It doesn't have to be in the gym, although that would be probably ideal for me. It's actually how I met my boyfriend. So
Small
yes,
world,
have
right?
to- yeah, right. Yeah, you have to like to work out, take care of yourself, have to be able to hold a conversation. And
Right.
you just have to be a good person.
So
kind
guys,
person.
if you're sitting at home mostly playing video games, or you maybe work out like once a week and you have aspirations to date a girl of this caliber that's a fit girl, you might want to change the game plan.
Right.
You might
Yeah,
need
it's
to,
not gonna
like we
mesh
say,
well.
walk the walk and talk the
Yeah.
So
talk.
no more
exactly.
Fortnite for the guys.
No.
We need a dramatic
Unless you're,
dramatic
working out
reduction.
during,
Maybe like
after.
post-workout Fortnite, maybe.
Yes, right.
You got to get an hour in the gym before you can go home and fort it up.
Yeah.
So it's pretty clear that you want to have that common ground. Do you go to the
Right,
gym with your
absolutely.
boyfriend?
Yes, we.
I mean, clearly. Now, have you dated a guy before that wasn't into fitness?
I have. Yes,
How'd that
and
go?
that's kind of how I know it didn't last.
See?
I'm not gonna lie.
See?
Yeah.
I've
And
tried
it had
it too.
nothing to do
I
with
tried
how
it too.
they
It doesn't work.
looked. Yeah, it's just you like to do things with your partner, and
Mm-hmm.
if that's just not what they're interested in, it's not
Okay.
gonna be a long.
It's hard to have a partner. I think that when you're fully dedicated to something,
Right.
and then they're like completely like.
Yeah, like hey, let's go get mac and cheese and pizza, which I love.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
I've had
but
some
it's
clients
hard.
like that and some in the past where they'll either be really trying
Right.
to change their life, maybe either lose a lot of body fat or they're already kind of in good shape and they're trying to take it to the next level and build a bunch of muscle. And they're like, yeah, things were going great, but then my girlfriend wanted to go to Chewy's
Yeah.
Yeah.
and get the fajitas and the purple margaritas. Well, that's Baby A's. We'll
Yeah.
get the Baby A's and get the
Either
purple
way.
margaritas and the fajitas.
Margaritas.
So it's you have to find that common ground.
Right.
Now, there's a way to make that work. I know couples that where one
Yes.
person's super fit and one
Right,
person isn't
right.
so much or just not into it.
Takes a lot of discipline on that. fit person,
Definitely is
I'll
going to
tell
take a
you
lot of
that much.
discipline. So, guys, I would suggest maybe turning it up a notch if you
Yeah.
have aspirations to
If
have a
that's
female.
what you're looking for.
And a fit girl doesn't necessarily have to be the girl that competes or
Right.
necessarily
No.
a trainer as a profession.
Right.
Maybe you just want a girl that takes care of herself and will
Yes.
look good for a long time and take care of herself for a long time. You might want to do the same for yourself.
Yes.
Yeah. 100%.
So let's say some of these guys are ready to make the move for a fit girl. What's the
Mhm.
best way to approach said fit girl?
Well, I would say if it's in the gym and she's a true fit girl, she's not going to want her workout interrupted.
Very true.
But
Very true.
I would say
Tread with caution.
Yeah, take it slow. Kind of, start with like the smile, not the creepy smile, but just kind of like the I notice you kind of. Yeah, that one. The I notice you kind of smile, and
Yeah.
then once you see her in there for a couple times, then you kind of have the line of like, "Oh, I've seen you in here quite a bit."
I like it.
When
So
she's,
so
like,
don't go
between
in.
Sets, resting
So
or
let's say
something.
you don't go in and say, yeah, okay, what's up? Can I get your number?
Girl,
you're
so
hot.
fine. You're
Can I
so
get your
fine.
number? So that's not a good play.
Sounds so sweaty.
So,
It is sweaty.
so maybe something like along the lines of, hey, I've seen you in here training quite hard. You look great. Great job. Maybe I'll see you in
yeah.
here around. So something a little free flowing like that.
Yeah, right.
You don't have to get the digits the first time, guys.
Exactly. Work up to it. Yes.
So if she goes to your gym, odds are she'll be there again, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
So what about maybe if they go? My personal recommendation is try to do it either if you catch them maybe when they're coming in or when they're leaving.
Right. Yes. That's
And you
probably the best
obviously
time.
there's that chance of like they're gonna see you like, oh look at, oh shit, she's leaving, shit, and you're gonna be like, oh, this guy is fucking creepy, and they're gonna like run out. There's again, let's talk about the fine line. There's a fine line. Just if you've seen her in there before, you're gonna obviously know maybe about what time she comes in. Maybe just set yourself in the situation, get there when you know, and then she's there, and then maybe just say hey. And then if you see her again and she's smiling back, then maybe just say hey again.
The smile back, because there's a good chance she's noticed you too.
Body language,
Yes,
people. Please read body language. It's really,
Yes.
it's not. So if you're sitting and talking to somebody and they're like out of their chair, kind of like
get away
like this, they're like, yeah, probably not interested.
They're like pretending to be on their phone.
But if let's say maybe you're on the tread, let's say maybe you end up on the step machines next to each other.
Yeah.
And she's talking, and she's kind of like maybe leaning a little bit towards you, or she takes the earphone out while you're talking and like that. Sign of interest.
Right.
Headphone in, straightforward, no interest.
Right.
Read the little subtle, the little things with body language. Met my girl at the gym.
You know, but I was
my
about
girl
to
to
say,
gym,
it
too.
sounds like you know about this.
Johnny, you met your girl at the gym.
I know how to do it.
Tell us the story.
Yeah, so that's Samantha right
I know,
behind you.
and she is drop dead gorgeous.
Oh,
Oh my gosh.
I'm so. Have you ever heard the term outkick your coverage? That's a good thing in football. If you kick the ball so deep, they can't even return it.
Yeah.
So that's what I did.
All button.
Yeah. So we met in the gym.
You met in the
24 Hour
gym?
Fitness, just like you guys did. And
Wait, here in Austin?
in Austin. So she had just moved here for pharmacy school at the University of Texas.
Oh, smart.
So she's a smarty too.
Yeah.
I love girls that are very smarter than me. I have to. So met her, saw her in the gym. Also was wearing an NFL cutoff T-shirt, a Jets shirt.
Nice.
Not a Jets fan. I'm a Steelers fan.
Right.
But the
Boo.
fact
Football
is,
in
I know,
general.
boo.
Yeah.
Jets. That's what I think of the Jets. That's right. Le'Veon Bell, Laters.
Well, I'm a Giants fan.
So
Oh, okay.
I'm super sorry. Except y'all got Saquon. Saquon's he's G.
The future.
You guys will be good eventually. You just have no receivers.
Eventually.
You guys just have no receivers right now, but that's okay. So saw her in the gym. So she's in the gym.
Right.
I'm in the gym all the time. I'm like, okay. Second thing, she's got a Jets shirt on. I played football. I love football. I'm a huge Steelers fan. Third thing, she looked in amazing shape, obviously.
Yeah.
So my buddy Garrett actually worked there, and before I went up and said something, I was like, dude, who's that girl? And he's like, oh, you mean hamstrings? I was like, yeah.
Yeah, that
hamstrings. Well, she was wearing just yoga pants or whatever,
Right.
but you could see the
Through the
outline of her
pants, right,
hamstring
yes.
in her yoga
That's
pants.
crazy.
That's impressive.
And you don't see that very often at the
No.
gym. So she was a true fit girl. And I'm telling you, I am the fit. I started working out when I was like 12. So I'm just literally, we'll tell that story a whole
Mini
nother
Arnold.
day. Exactly. Arnold. I went to the Arnold Classic in 1996. So,
Oh, that's awesome.
but so I saw her there and I was like, oh, wow. So I was thinking, Johnny, do not fuck this up.
Yeah.
Don't fuck this up, dude. Because I'll be honest, I've seen fit girls in the gym before and have maybe swung and missed before.
Right.
Haven't played it well, or went up and just went, oh yeah, can I get your number? You look great. Don't do that. So I just said, hey, I was like, I've never seen you here before. You a Jets fan? And we just made a little chit chat about sports. Said you look great. I was like, because she looked so good, and I had just gotten into competing. I was like, do you compete? And she's like, well, no, actually I don't. And I was thinking about it. I was like, well, you would definitely kill it, but I'll see you around. That was it.
Nice. Yeah, exactly.
That was it.
Sweet and simple.
Sweet and simple.
Sweet and simple.
Saw her again. Same kind of thing. I was just like, hey, blah, blah, look great. Saw her a third time. Now, this time, I saw her at a different gym. So I was like, all right, destiny. My soulmate. I've found her. So we're up at a different gym because they were actually working on the 24-hour fitness that we normally go to. They were like rehabbing it or whatever.
Right.
So we
and
just ended up, and it was at like a 2:30 in the afternoon. So at a super random time of day. And I was like, oh my God, there she is. So I went up and talked to her again. And so this was like the third or fourth time I've seen her. And then as for the digits, I said, hey, maybe before you leave, I know you're working out right now. So I played it super cool, super chill. Before you leave, maybe just come by, and if I can maybe have your phone number, we'll maybe get together sometime. She's like, yeah, okay. So I go back to my workout. I'm like, perfect form. She's watching. Is she watching? Is she watching? 1,999. 2,000. Okay, so I racked the weights, and I'm like, okay, looking around. It's been about an hour or so. And no, she left.
She left.
Oh.
She left.
She had a process. That's what it was.
So I was like, oh man, no way. And I was like, kind of a little bit sad. And then I was like, oh, I shook it off, and well, she still goes to my gym. Maybe I'll see her again.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
So the next time she saw me, she was like, yeah, I looked for you, but I was kind of in a rush. I had to go.
Gotcha,
and then I
gotcha.
got her number.
Yeah.
And then we got engaged in 2016. Now we're
That's all
scheduled.
she wrote.
We are scheduled to get married on 12/4/20.
Oh, look at that. That's awesome.
Love you, Sammy. So that's how I met Samantha, and that's hopefully, guys, you can take some of the tips from Crystal here and the tips from old Daddy-O here on how to approach a fit female, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a fit female. Any female in the gym, if you show an interest, just play it cool, bro.
Yes, play it cool.
Throw it in
For
neutral.
sure.
Like, don't go in there in fifth gear, just like popping the clutch.
Right.
Just
Can't be
let's
too
just-
eager.
Yeah, let's just get spark up a conversation. See if you guys can talk
Yes.
first.
Yes.
Like, let's say you do go in there and like you're just like, hey, can I get your number? And then like she's like, yeah, gives you the number, and then like you guys go out to dinner. It's just like you don't know anything. You're
Crickets.
pretty much just strangers now. I guess
It'll
this
be
is
like
maybe
this.
a different.
Yeah, exactly.
It's exactly what it's gonna be. So where are you from?
Yeah.
That's cool. So you go to Gold. I saw you doing legs yesterday. That's cool. Yeah, I was doing chest. So just play it cool. Just play it cool. But thanks for the tips on how to for them to now maybe what if it's a different scenario? Now you said you do group classes. Let's say
Right,
you're outside
right.
of the gym and you're out in the
Right.
park.
Okay. Yes.
Is there any different approach?
I think yes.
Okay.
If it's kind of a group setting, it's a little more free flowing, so
Okay.
you can chat a little bit more. You're not in an intense, headphones on, working your reps. So I think you can kind of do the chit chat
Chit chat it up a little bit,
Yeah,
and then go in.
yeah.
Then go in for the
Have a different
kill.
scenario. Yes.
Then you go in and fuck
Going
the
for
plant.
kill.
Tell me you remember 40-year-old virgin. Yes. It's like, because you got to plant the seed, man. You got to plant seed and then you let it grow. And then once it grows, you go in and you fuck the plant.
Such a clutch movie.
Ray,
Oh
you
my
not-
God,
you haven't seen that
love
one?
it.
So I have seen that movie. It's been so long. I
That
have
was
terrible memory.
Seth, one of Seth Rogen's
Rogen,
early
yes.
movies. Kevin
Oh,
Hart, early
man.
movie.
I know, I forgot he
Yes.
was in there.
I
That's
saw it
right.
like a month ago.
I want some fucking
She
French
was
toast.
a hoe for sure.
Steve Carell. Oh, that was one of his first movies outside of The Office.
Right.
God, he's such a
The
Yeah.
Office is like the GOAT show.
It is.
Right.
It is straight up.
Right,
If
yeah.
that's
the goat show.
it's not. It's like the 2000s Seinfeld, basically.
Yeah.
Like
Michael
we're gonna be
Scott.
seeing reruns of that forever.
Oh, yeah.
Michael
Michael
Scott
Scott.
and Dwight in the first few
Right,
seasons,
Yes. Gosh.
uncomparable or incomparable. Just
Love it.
unbelievable the antics they would get into.
I think it's the best show.
Oh, it's a great.
Schroot's
great
gym.
show.
Do you remember when he had the gym?
Oh, yeah.
Schroot's gym
Yeah.
on the farm. Oh, that was so.
The
They were
beef
like
farm?
they were like throwing bays of
Yeah.
hail and like.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like pulling the horse or
I remember now. Yeah.
Oh, and then he had to fight his weird cousin or whatever his name was.
Oh, that pulled up.
Yeah. Oh
For
man.
that
was cool.
episode, but there's so many good ones.
So you've probably been on some dates since you got a boyfriend. You're
Right,
I guess
right.
with a guy now. So I'm sure you dated. What are some awkward things that maybe have happened on dates with you?
Oh man. I think maybe there was one where a guy was like on his phone almost the whole time. Yeah, it wasn't good.
Bad choice.
Yeah.
Very
So
bad choice.
That didn't make it.
That didn't go past date
no.
one.
No, that was not. a
Okay,
good
so here's
date.
another tip, guys. Phone away.
Yes, yeah. Even if it's
Yeah.
work, he was claiming it was work, but it was just we'd talk and
What?
then to the phone.
No,
talk
he
to the
did.
phone.
He tried to lie about it
Yeah,
too.
I was like,
yeah, it's
all
work.
right, well.
He works at Starbucks. He's like, it's work.
So I'm not sure about this one. Yeah. Nope, that didn't.
That's that one.
Oh, that'd be fine.
Yeah.
But other than that, no, I've actually been pretty lucky with dates. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So you probably have a good pre-qualification system.
Right, exactly.
So that
Yeah.
goes back to the girl that if she does give out the number, like just if a guy just asks it, that's
Right.
not a good pre-qualification
Yes.
system.
Yeah, this
then
was
you can end up
actually
with
a friend.
awkward turtles
Yeah.
and like some weird
Awkward
shit.
turtles, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So what's maybe the most embarrassing that's ever happened to you? Not necessarily on a date, but just ever.
A most embarrassing thing?
Mhm.
Oh man. Okay, I got it.
Let's hear it.
So I go running when I go. My family.
Yeah,
goes to
so
the
she's
coast.
you're a
I am
runner too.
yes,
Okay, about how many miles a
which
week?
is- Well, it depends. Heavy lifting weeks, it's only about 3 miles a day for 4 to 5 days.
Only?
And I know,
She said
right?
only.
Boy.
So
Yeah, that's gonna be a
3
no-go
is,
for me, dog.
Short. Yeah, yeah.
Only 3 miles a day.
Oh, I usually run like 5 to 6. So
Ooh.
yeah, it is a different dynamic trying to keep your muscle and running. You have to eat a lot of carbs.
Correct. A lot of carbs, a lot of
But
protein.
Exactly.
Protein.
Of course, protein. That's a given. But yeah, so where was I going with the story? Oh yeah, so I like to run. My family goes on vacation every year to Port Aransas, and there was one year that I went for a run, and I was single at this time, so. I'm running. This is probably going to sound so gross, but I had to go to the bathroom, and there was no bathrooms around.
Number 1 or number 2, Crystal?
Oh, you know what it was.
Okay. We're going double deuces here. All right. Keep going.
So I mean, I thought I could make it back, and it just wasn't happening. So I was like, okay, this is happening in the water. I have to go to the water. It's so gross, but I got to go in the water. Go out into the water, right? I can't, I'm like stage fright, can't do anything. So then I see this guy start running on the beach towards me, and I'm like, oh my God, like pull my.
He was
like,
coming to like save
yes,
you?
like pulled my shorts up, pulled everything up, got out on the beach, and I'm like, oh, he goes by, and I give him the smile, like, hey. And then as he passes.
You winked at him?
I didn't
after
wink
you
at
were
him, but
trying
I was
to
just
pop a
smiling because
turd
he was
out?
smiling at me, right?
Yeah,
He's
okay,
like
okay.
smiling at me, so I'm smiling back, and I look down, and my G-string was like all the way down past my shorts, so it was just like sticking
God.
out, and my shorts were, so it was like super embarrassing. I was like, that's what he was smiling about. He's like, this girl.
She was like,
this.
can I get your
Yeah,
number?
so embarrassing. That was probably one
That
of
is
the
the
most
best story that we've heard.
That's a pretty good
like one
one.
of the most embarrassing.
That's a pretty
I
good
think
one.
I'm looking all cute, and I'm like, no.
I used to run a
Hotness.
little bit. I used to run. When I first
Me
moved to
too.
Austin, my dad was a distance runner, ran a marathon. So when I first got here, I was born and raised in Pittsburgh. They got a lot of shit-ass weather up there.
Yeah.
So then I went to school in Tennessee, and the weather's a lot better there. But then I moved here, and it's sunny like 300 days a year.
Yeah.
And there's trails everywhere. And there was, when I moved here, I was single at the time, and that's a great opportunity to meet women that were, obviously into fitness, because I was. But I ended up kind of like liking running, especially for some reason when it was like 100 degrees outside in Austin. I would just love to get that sweat.
It's a challenge.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't running marathons, but I was running. I got to the point where I was running 3 to 5 miles a day, probably maybe 4 days a week or so.
Right.
So, and this was way pre-Sammy. So, Sammy, this was before you, but I was, when I was dating, and I met this girl, and she was a very nice girl, but she was a runner.
Right.
And so I was like, hey, let's go do a little couples run sometime. But I went out with the boys the night before, and just because it was like a Friday, and we're like, yeah, let's wake up and do a Saturday run. And it was actually kind of like winter in Austin, so it was a little chilly that morning. So went out with the boys. Stupid idiot. Woke up hung, went down there, and she's like, yeah, let's meet at 8. I was like, well, let's rock it. So I get down there, and I'm like, wake up just so hung and just a killer headache. So I'm like, all right, let's go pre-workout. Let's do it. So I drank some pre-workout. And we're at Town Lake, and we're running around the lake there. It's like I think the small loop, it's like maybe 2.5 miles. It takes maybe 20 minutes if you're going pretty slow. Yeah. So I get going, and I'm like, hey, I'm trying to act super chipper, but it is like super major headache from hell. So I drank the pre-workout, and we get around, and like we're running. I'm like, oh no, dude. Oh no.
It's coming.
And I'm running, and like I kind of look at her. She's like, you all right? I was like, yeah. And then just. Just
projectile.
red. It was like it was the pre-workout. It was I'm pretty sure, if I remember, this was a while ago, so I'm pretty sure it was NO Explode. So if you remember the first version of NO Explode, even when you shook them up in a shaker, the top could pop off. I remember I blasted the wall one time. So I think that was maybe it, and then also have an empty stomach, but right in front of her.
Right.
Yeah. We went on a few more days.
Oh, man.
So, all right, now, Miss Crystal, we're going to move on to our rapid fire round. What I'm going to do is ask you some questions. I just want you to answer them as quickly and swiftly as you can.
It's almost like Family Feud.
Pretty much. Pretty much. So, are you ready?
At the end, you win $10,000.
Yeah.
You have to win $10,000. Man, how can I enter? All right, you ready?
I think so.
All right. Favorite color?
Blue.
Favorite city?
Austin.
Favorite state?
Texas.
Favorite place you have traveled to?
Ooh, I haven't been that many places. I'm going to say Bahamas.
Nice choice. Least favorite place you've traveled to?
Oh, that's a tough one. I don't really have one.
Really?
Yeah.
You like everywhere you see? Have you been to the
everywhere
nooks
I've
and
gone
crannies
so
here in Texas?
I haven't been that many places.
Okay. Okay.
So,
All right.
yeah.
All right. A road less traveled. Now, favorite car?
Corvette.
Nice. What do you think about the new one?
The new mid-engine?
mid-engine?
that's nice.
Sammy's gonna get one.
Yes.
It's
She's gonna
been
get one?
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
lifelong dream. Now she's got the pharmacist out. She's getting
Wow.
Dude,
so jealous.
That car's amazing.
one. Yeah, it is pretty cool. It is damn cool.
It's fast.
Favorite movie?
Grandma's Boy.
Sweet.
Yes. I scored it.
Ray, do you know what Grandma's Boy is? Ray is
24.
4 years old.
I have
24
not
years
watched
old.
that movie. Actually never even heard of it.
What?
I'm
Ray?
thinking of getting metal legs. It's a risky operation, but I think I'm gonna do it.
If you had robot ears, you would know.
You've Gray Bush. You have got to watch that movie.
Silver
So
Fox.
When did it come out?
good. This had like 2004, 5, 6, somewhere in that.
2006. Okay.
Yeah. So when I graduated college.
It's a good one.
Favorite song currently on your playlist?
Oh gosh, I hate favorite songs. I would say
Currently,
anything,
not all time. Currently on your playlist.
anything by Chevelle. I love them.
Okay.
all their
All right.
songs.
I think they're coming to town.
Oh really?
Yes, they are.
I was
They're
not
coming.
aware of this. I usually
Yeah,
get the
they're coming.
notifications.
Yeah, Ray, go ahead and help me out here. They're coming to town. I want to say in like September, October, with a couple other
Oh my gosh,
bands from that
yes.
era.
Where are they going to be playing it?
I think it's. I want to say it's at Circuit of Americas.
Circuit of Americas.
Which,
of
if you
course.
haven't been
It's
there,
where
the sound there is sick.
Yeah. No,
Like
it's a
especially
good
if you want to go
venue.
to a rap
We're gonna
concert.
be here September 9th
September 9th.
at Austin 360.
Yeah, that's the 360
Nice.
with who? There's
Yeah, with who? Who's the?
It doesn't say it. Let's see. I think they're branding it as just their tour. Is it?
Selfish.
I'm sure there'll be.
I don't know. I'm on their
there.
site, but I gotta
Yeah.
probably look on
Oh
Ticketmaster.
man, I gotta get ticks for that.
Breaking Benjamin.
Oh nice.
3 Days Grace.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
That's good.
that'll be a pretty cool one.
it's a good
So,
lineup.
Yeah, Breaking Benjamin.
I love them too. Yeah.
So, all right, Savelle, good one there.
Yeah.
All right, favorite Saved by the Bell character.
Oh, Slater all the way. He was my
Yeah,
favorite.
that's a win.
Yeah.
I went to Slater for Halloween one year. Not
Did
gonna lie,
you?
it was great.
All nice and tan.
I made it. I
Red
bought a red
tank.
singlet.
Hey,
I bought a
nice.
singlet,
Oh,
wrestling
the
singlet. I
singlet.
ironed on Bayside Tigers, and I bought a black fro wig, and I cut it into that like Jerry curled mullet he had, and I sprayed it with stuff to
Yes.
make it look shiny. And then like
Yeah.
the whole night, I was just like taking down my buddies with like wrestling moves. It was so fucking funny.
I haven't watched that show either.
Yeah, well, you were too young for that.
Ray,
I
you're
know.
killing me,
Because
Smalls.
I remember being pretty young. when
Ray's
that-
gonna have some homework. Yeah, I mean that's maybe more.
I
for
heard of
my
it,
time.
but
Yeah.
I was born in '94, so it depends on.
If
Okay,
you're in
there
the
you
'90s,
go.
you grew up on it.
Yeah.
They showed reruns for
Right.
years. It's just
Yeah.
taught values,
Yeah,
wholesome
exactly.
values, basically. It's like the Waltons
all
of the
high
'90s.
schoolers.
First
They look like
episode
they
was
were
in
in college.
1989,
Jesus.
and the last
Wow.
one it was in '93. I wasn't even born yet.
Whoa,
Okay,
but what
okay,
about
okay.
then they went to the
Okay.
college years?
Yeah, they did do
Yep.
college years.
But
They
come on
had
now.
So many reruns.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, the college years they had that
Well,
guy.
what show were you watching at that age, Ray?
Well, I was like negative at that age. That's
No,
all-
no. Like when you were young.
teenage, like early teenager.
Yeah.
like 10.
Yeah. What was the
What
big
10,
show
11,
for you?
12.
That's hard.
You flipped the script.
Well,
on
I
me.
actually watched a lot of old shows too. Like I like the Wayans Bros.
The Wayans
Okay.
Brothers. That's a
Yeah.
good one.
Yeah.
I actually love
How about
that
A
show.
Living Color?
Yeah. Oh,
Oh.
he's not gonna know that.
Fire Marshal Bill.
I
oh
I
my
know what that is.
God.
Jim Carrey.
Oh,
It's
the best.
I didn't actually watch it, but I'm well aware of what that is as well.
Dude,
Yes.
the Wayans
The
brothers on
Wayans
that
brothers,
were so.
oh,
When he,
yeah.
I can't remember, he was like a clown or something. He had that little clown
Yeah.
hat, and he would whip people with that
Yes.
sock
I
or
think,
something.
wasn't Jamie Foxx in it? Too?
Yes, he was. Yes, he was.
Yeah, he played-
Yes.
Oh, wait, is that Homie the Clown? No.
Homie
Oh,
the clown. Homie don't play that. And he would whip him with the thing. Oh,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah.
We don't play that.
Homie
Yes.
don't play that. That
I
was
told,
so
I told
funny.
you I know a little bit.
Yeah,
I told you a
do.
little
That's
bit.
impressive, right?
Crystal, let's shift gears here a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about since you're and we've had some female trainers in the past, but now that you're
Right.
kind of the new female trainer, let's talk a little bit about nutrition exercise for females because we've got a lot of female viewers here. What is maybe the best way that you found to manage some of your nutrition and exercise, maybe just getting started for somebody that's wanting to get, female that's wanting to get into it?
I would just say keep it simple. Pick some of your favorite foods, and always be prepped and prepared. I think preparation makes a world of difference when trying to get into eating healthy. Like, make sure you prep your proteins and your veggies and your good carbs, whether it be rice, potatoes, whatever you're eating. That way you're
Now, if she's looking to
ready.
mainly drop a couple dress sizes or something, that's the main focus. What should there be their first area of focus for nutrition?
Oh, the first area of focus? What do you mean?
So what's if there's a female out there who's just, look, I want to drop a couple dress sizes and I go to the gym 3 days a week. So
okay. So as
she's
far as working
she's
out.
trying to work out, but what's the first area she should focus on her nutrition?
I would say cut all processed foods.
Okay.
All processed foods, all things high in sugar.
Okay.
And just stick to whole foods.
Okay. What's the next step from there?
I would say from just starting.
So if she wants to lose body fat, what does she need to do?
She needs to do some cardio.
Okay.
Gotta do cardio.
But I'm talking from the nutritional side of things. Yeah.
I would say do maybe some carb cycling,
controlling calorie intake. Yes, that's where I'm taking the bus right now.
So she needs to be in a deficit.
So,
she needs to burn more calories than she's
ding,
taking
ding,
in.
ding, ding.
Yes,
Okay.
That's where you're.
So I was getting at that because
I thought you meant with just food,
Well,
but
that's
I mean it is. But I know you're right.
No, I got you.
Right.
I'm just messing with you.
Yeah.
So the reason I was kind of driving the bus towards that one is because I've found that I work with a lot of females, young females, and even I was as old as 76 years young, and I found one of the best things that you can do getting started is a food log.
Oh,
and
no,
that's
absolutely, yeah.
writing
Track
everything down. Obviously, cutting the processed foods is a great place to start.
No,
Just by doing that, you'll probably reduce your calorie intake.
Yeah.
But food log it. Take 3 days, take an average work day, and then maybe a weekend day. Don't pull any punches. If you eat a Reese's peanut butter cup, write it down. It's okay.
Right.
You're just trying to identify, okay, how many calories am I eating on the average day? Find out that for your work day, find out for your weekend day, add everything up and see where you're at. Then simply just by literally either writing things down or tracking it in an app and just making sure your output's higher than your input.
Yes.
Then you'll be able to
and tracking it accurately.
Tracking it accurately.
That's what I'm saying is eyeballing is only so good.
Right.
Like I could look at a pile of almonds over there, even me, and I could be like, yeah, that's probably about 2 ounces almonds, but maybe it's like 4 ounces.
That's a big
and
difference.
That's between 200 and 400 calories, and then multiply that by 7 days. So big difference.
Yeah.
So, but I just think just identification of what you're currently doing is one of the things that can definitely help. What about for exercise? What do you recommend for if they're trying to eat healthy now and it's like, okay, now it's time to get either in the gym or maybe exercise at home. Where should she start?
They definitely need to be active.
Mm-hmm.
So if they can't get to the gym 5 days a week, start at 3.
Okay.
And just on the days that they're not at the
So
gym,
set realistic expectations.
Right,
Don't say I'm going to work out 5 days a week, but then the first week you only do 3 and then the second week.
Right, exactly. And then you kind of set yourself up for failure because you're like, oh, I didn't do it. I mean, so.
And you're hard on yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
It's a waste. But just be active. Do as many things as possible. So if you like yoga or if you like to dance, maybe try some classes at the gym.
It doesn't have to be a gym workout.
Right, exactly.
Just move.
Moving. Yeah, movement.
What about something like walking around at the mall?
That too. That'll work. Hey, it's getting your steps in.
And I don't mean to be that, like,
just be careful with what you're spending.
Yeah, of course you want to be careful with you could be window shop. It doesn't have to be a mall. It could be walking around like we've got the Domain here and they've got restaurants and bars and a place where you can walk or go to Town Lake, Zilker Park. Walk around there.
Plenty of trails and stuff like that.
Great place if you're single to meet a dude.
That too.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
So common ground. So what about if the women's hormonal system is way more complex, way more complex. Yes. So what about obviously during the certain time of the month? Is there anything that a lady starting out should maybe watch out for, like maybe more intense cravings, or maybe they're going to be so tired and have the cramps that they're not going to want to work out? What's the best way to kind of overcome that?
Yeah, so that can be tough for sure. But I think a lot of times if you do have a sweet tooth, it's going to be heightened that much more during those time of the month. So try to find some healthy snack alternatives.
Okay.
Kind of what I do is I'll take some Greek yogurt and I'll mix it with like the sugar-free pudding mix or some protein powder or something. So you're getting a little
healthy
bit.
hack.
Right, exactly. So you're still
Protein
getting like
powder,
that
Greek
sweet
yogurt.
craving, but not a bunch of calories. And that'll take care of that craving.
I like that.
Sure.
I like to, for some, not just women, but sometimes it's better to schedule out, especially if you have a sweet tooth or maybe you struggle a little bit with controlling it, or maybe you're just kind of getting into the healthy lifestyle.
Yeah.
I think oftentimes it's better to interlace and schedule those naughty foods or whatever things intermittently, maybe throughout the week, maybe like maybe have
a cheat meal.
Exactly. Not necessarily a meal. Not necessarily a meal, but
not even a meal.
let's say, stick to your plan, but let's say at night, maybe on a Tuesday, you have a donut. But you build that into your calorie intake. So you're still at 1,500 calories. And then maybe on a Thursday, you have a pint of Halo Top.
Right.
And then maybe on Saturday, then maybe you do have your a moderate cheat meal.
Right.
I think that's going to allow for a lot more consistency versus trying to block everything out and go like a straight 6 or 7 days or even 2 weeks, which sometimes people do, and then go do a cheat meal. The cheat meal is either going to go way overboard. It's going to turn into a cheat day,
be a binge.
Or somewhere in between that start time and the time of when you're trying to do that, the dam is going to break. Right. Because abstaining is not always the answer. It's called flexible dieting, and you can still lose fat that way. You can still lose fat eating processed foods and sugar. You can. That's not, all calories are not equal.
Right.
All calories matter.
Right.
Okay. But you can, there's a million ways.
Some are way more nutrient dense than
Correct.
others.
Correct. So like you're getting literally on a fat, you get 1 tablespoon is about 120 calories. Yeah. But of vegetables, you can have a whole bowl. Stack, so it's all relative. But did you find it harder to get into fitness being a female? Did you have any trouble getting clients? Do you have any issues getting male clients? Or do you find it's like kind of a mixed ratio, or it just doesn't matter?
Actually, I don't think it really mattered.
Good.
Kind of had,
Good.
all different types of clients.
That's the way it should be. Yeah. Well, what's next? What are the next goals?
Man, I'm just kind of seeing where it takes me so far, but obviously
well, you ended up here.
Exactly, yeah.
So you're going to be with us for a while?
Yeah.
Good.
No,
well, Miss Crystal, I do want to thank you for coming in and obviously being a part of the team. We're really excited to have you here. And you're so
excited to be here.
You guys and girls out there are going to see a lot more content coming out of Crystal, nutrition, exercise. You're going to be going on location with us here pretty soon. You're going to see some videos. We're going to teach you guys how to eat out healthy. Eat fast. It is possible. It is possible. Eat, including fast food and even at a gas station. So we're going to teach you the right way. So I hope that you guys and girls out there learned a little bit today and enjoyed our podcast. As always, if you liked what you saw here, make sure to subscribe to us and turn your notifications on. That way you're notified every time we come with a new video. We are going to be doing the podcast released weekly on Thursday. We've got a lot of cool guests coming up. We are also going to be releasing other content on Mondays and Wednesdays, nutritional and exercise content. So turn those notifications on. Subscribe to us, head over to Facebook, give us a like, and also you can comment below. Feel free to ask us some questions. We will either answer them in the comments or we'll try to answer them in a future podcast. Crystal, thank you for coming in. Ray, my Mansky, thank you for being on the 1s and 2s, my dude.
Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you.
So for episode number 2, this is Coach Jonny here in the SixPack Lab. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll see you next time.
I feel like I messed up a little bit.